In this lecture, we're going to cover Excel and how to create charts. The most important step in creating a chart in Excel is to make sure you highlight the correct data. What I have here is a spreadsheet that has various worksheets, and we're going to create different charts based upon the information you see here. First off, we're going to create a very basic column chart. And I'm going to create a chart that's going to compare all of our information sector categories and based on the portfolio and the S&P 500. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight B3 through D7. Notice that I am including my column headings here. That's kind of an important step here. Once you've highlighted your data, we're going to go to Insert, and then you'll notice that you have a chart panel here. And you have all the different chart types that you see listed here. And so I'm going to do a column chart, and to start with we're going to do a very basic two-dimensional column. I'm going to click on that, and you'll notice that very quickly it has placed a chart inside of my spreadsheet. Now we have two options when dealing with where to place a chart. We can go with the default, which is this right here, and it places it in the worksheet itself. It acts like a graphic just like we had in Microsoft Word. We also have the option here on our design panel to change the chart location. And so what I'm going to do is click Move Chart. And I'm going to do it on a new sheet. And I'm going to name my new sheet Info Sector. And click OK. And you'll notice now that my chart is a full screen. And then down here in my worksheet tabs, I now have one called Info Sector. Also on our design panel we have our chart styles. These are deal primarily with how the chart looks, and you can choose the one that best fits what you're dealing with. So I'm going to come in and choose this one, and notice that it's gone ahead and taken care of that in my chart. At this point, the most important of my Chart Tools subpanels is my layout. What this allows me to do is deal with all of my different items within my chart. Notice right here we have our chart title area that you see there, and I want to give my chart a title, so I'm going to hit the down arrow, and I'm going to put my title above my chart. Now I have my axis titles, and this is labeling what we have up here. And so I'm going to come down and I'm going to choose a horizontal one below. And I also want a vertical one. Now with my vertical one, I can have a rotated like so. I can have a vertical like you see here, or I can have a horizontal like so. And I'm going to go with my first option, a rotated title. Now once you add your titles, you can just double click and highlight, and then you can come in and give it a heading. And you do that with each of the items that you see here. So I can come in and I can highlight here, and same thing here. Now, in this particular chart, I've noticed that some of my headings and titles are actually a little small to see. To increase your font size and things of that nature, it's very simple. You just click on the item in question, go to your home panel, and then you can just increase your font size as you see fit. So you just click and then increase to the point that you want. And that works with every object that you have within your chart area. I can also change my font the same way, like so. Now, going back to my Chart Tools subpanel and my Layout tab, this item that you see over here to the right, this is your legend. Right now it's located to the right, but if I click my legend button, I can actually turn it off, or I can place it at the top or the bottom, and you can just kind of go with where you would like to have your legend be located. Next up is our data labels. Our data labels allow us to take the actual amount that you see in your worksheet and place it on your chart. You have several options as to where it will be located, and you really has kind of a trial and error to see what is the best option for the chart that you have. I'm going to choose Inside End, and now notice that it has placed those amounts on my chart. Just like my titles, I can click on those, and I can go back to my home panel, and let's say I think a white font might show up better, and maybe making it bold, and you can do that the same way. Click on each one, and you can make those changes like you see fit. Also on your Layout tab, you can do things that deal with your axis. Now notice that right now we have grid lines at every 2 mark here. Your grid lines has to do with where you see them. Right now we only have major horizontal grid lines showing. I could come in and do major grid lines vertically, and that would be the up and down that you see here. It really just has to do with the chart types that you're working with here. At this point, I've decided that maybe this isn't the best chart type for my information. I want to change the chart type here from what you see here to a line chart. You can change the actual chart type from the fly by clicking on your Design panel and clicking on Change Chart Type, and I can come in and choose a line chart and click OK, and it will automatically change that chart type for me. Just like before, you have your styles, and you can go through and make the changes that you need to do with the different items that you see there. Also on your Layout panel we have a data table, and what this does is it actually takes the information from your worksheet and places it as part of your chart like you see here. You can also do something called a trend line. You can come in and put a linear trend line for each of the items you want to see, and it kind of shows you the trend that that particular item is making. So you have a lot of choices here as to what you need to do. You also have the ability to change one of your chart types. Maybe you want the portfolio to be in blue, but the S&P to actually be a column chart. What you can do is you can click your line chart, you can right click, and you can then change series chart type, and I can turn that one back to my column, and so that will allow us to combine 2 different types of charts with one. You pick one, click on the series, right click there.